If you want to learn how I built these shelves, stay tuned.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's Kiki and we're back again for another video in our series GTV.
Yeah.
So as you can see behind me are these beautiful shelves that I put together. Here you see a little bit of the living room. We did a lot of the stuff that you see here. We did this dining table. We did it. We built these shelves. I did that once. We built this island. V did it. We did the tiles on the backsplash. V did it. We put in new countertops. The contractors did it. So we've been really busy since we've been living here, and we're making the home more functional one project at a time. So if you're interested in learning how I built these shelves, stay tuned. Subscribe and leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit the bell. Hit the bell so YouTube can tell you the next time I upload a video.
And don't forget, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right, high five. All right, bye.
Bye-bye. That was a good one, right?
Right. What you need to do is decide how many shelves you want and get the wood cut. I got my wood cut at Home Depot, and I'm now mixing after I realized that the color was wrong, so you guys should probably mix that stain before you start staining. Okay, so I started off with, I believe this was 1 by 8 by 6 feet long, and so I just got them to cut it in half for me. I didn't have to do any sawing, any cutting whatsoever. You are gonna need to sand these, and V was kind enough to sand mine because he kind of owed me, because he used a couple of my pieces of wood to make his raised flower bed, but that's another story. All right, so once you get them sanded, get them stained, get all in the edges, get everything good. And you can see it's non-stop with these kids. Everybody's coming by. You know, V's trying to tell me how to do it, but I got this. So once the other side is dry to the touch, you're ready to do the underside. So do the same thing you did on your first side. Get that stain in. You got to rub it in good. Make sure there are no light spots, dark spots. Get a good even covering on that. Here I did it 3 at a time. I did 3 and 2 because at first I was gonna do 5 shelves, and then when I started putting them up, 4 looked good enough for me. So just make sure you get a good covering on everything, and once it's dry to the touch, you're ready to proceed to phase 2, which is installation. So this is like the conceptualization phase, because I still wasn't really sure where I wanted everything to go. Ignore my child with an adult wig on. She's playing dress ups. So I was gonna do them all in a straight line, and then after talking to V, I figured, you know what, maybe it might look better if we offset it. First things first, you're gonna need to mark off your studs, because that's what the brackets are gonna attach to. If you don't have a stud finder, I'm sure you can look up other YouTube videos of how you can knock and listen to the differences in sound to kind of figure out where it's hollow and where it has a stud behind it. But I use a lot of these tools here. He already had a handy dandy stud finder, so I put that to some good use. You're also gonna want to level. You don't want any sideways shelves that things are gonna fall off of. So make sure that everything is good and level. Now you will notice that I'm not actually doing any measurements. I kind of am just putting the brackets into the studs and then eyeballing and centering the wood on top of those. Now, if you're obsessive compulsive or you just need everything to be perfectly symmetric, no problem. Bust out your ruler and take some measurements and figure out where you exactly want to put those brackets on the shelf. So just continuing along, making sure I'm level with every screw I put in. I'm checking the level. And then when I'm using this drill to put the screws in the wall, I noticed that when you get kind of far in, now I don't know if it's a bad drill or if this is always how it is. I don't usually use power tools, but when you get that screw almost all the way in, the drill kind of tended to want to slip out. So I just gave those final screws using an actual screwdriver just to make sure everything was tight and secure and all the way in. Get your first piece of wood, decide what you want, and put it up. So you see, I really just eyeballed it. Does it look even enough? That's fine enough. Let's get that in there. It's not rocket science. I don't need things to be perfectly even. So this was good enough for me. Again, you are more than welcome to do these measurements. I just was not interested whatsoever. And the first shelf is done, and I think we gotta celebrate with a dance break. Go Kiki, go Kiki, go Kiki, go Kiki. Okay, back to work. So with the stagger, I'm gonna put this bracket in line with the left bracket of the one above, if that makes sense. So the right bracket of the shelf below is gonna line up with the left bracket of the shelf up top. And again, I am not measuring distances between brackets. This is another kind of eyeballing experience, really. I just kind of figured, okay, the width of the ruler, I'm just gonna use that as my spacing, and that's good enough for me. Let's not complicate things. So go ahead and put the other bracket in the stud that you already marked off. You should have marked off all your studs like we did in the beginning of the video. Make sure everything's level, and really it's just rinse and repeat. Everything you did for that first shelf, you're gonna do for the second shelf. Again, find a shelf, eyeball it. Does it look good enough? Looks good to me. Screw it in. Rinse and repeat. That looks awesome. So now the next shelf is gonna have to line up with that top shelf. So the left bracket of this third shelf is gonna line up with the left bracket of the first shelf. And here I am just kind of also, again, using my level as a kind of ruler measurement to make sure that we have about the same space in between shelves. Again, it's not, it doesn't have to, for me, it doesn't have to be perfect. You are more than welcome to take those measurements on your own. I like to eyeball things whenever possible. So get that right bracket, make sure everything's level, and get it installed in that stud. And if you've made it this far as you're building the shelves, you are a rock star, and you can do any kind of bracket installation anywhere in the house. I will admit I went a little bit crazy, and I installed some of these in my daughter's room as well. Looks good to me. So time to screw the shelf in. The last shelf, the fourth shelf, is gonna line up with that second shelf. So this bracket that I'm putting in is going to be the right bracket for this last shelf. Hey Ella. She's always sniffing around when I'm doing my projects. Somebody else is sniffing around too. Last one, we can do this. Same scenario. Make sure it's level, make sure you're on the stud, and get that bad boy drilled into the stud. These shelves are not going anywhere. Eyeball it. Does it look good? Good enough for me. Screw in the shelf, and we, my dear, are done, more or less. And that's how easy that was. So, like I said, I think if I can do it, anybody can do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed doing this project. Now I feel like I have room to put my potatoes and my oranges and other little knickknacks. I have like cat treats, dog treats and stuff in there. Put up the shelves. All right, bye.